Before we get into the podcast, be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at This Strange World Podcast and on Twitter at This Strange Pod. Welcome back to This Strange World. I'm Gavin.
I'm Leah.
And I'm Chris.
Oh my goodness, guys. We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back. We are back. Yeah.
Wait. We're back.
I don't understand that reference.
It's a reference.
I don't know.
I've missed you all so much. I haven't seen you guys in a hot minute. How y'all doing? How's life?
I wish that, yeah. Are you talking to us or are you talking to a listener?
Oh, I'm talking to Gavin and Chris.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. I wasn't sure. I was about to say, I wish that we could talk to the listener.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm vibing. You know, we're out here, season 2.
Yeah,
Big things. How are you guys doing?
Season 2.
We're good. We're tired.
We're good.
No, but we're good.
We're
I'm so excited to.
We're still tired from season 1.
Yeah.
We work hard and we don't rest too hard because we're still working hard.
Right. We work too hard to be resting.
Exactly.
We didn't have a huge break in between the seasons, but
No.
if you're listening to this, there was a larger break. We're getting ahead, and we got so many fun, exciting things to talk about, and lined up for season 2. But I mean, you read the title, you already know what this is about. But
Of
this is
course.
I was very excited for this one. So should we even? We should just jump right into it.
Let's
not even
go.
dilly-dally
All right.
anymore.
All right.
All right,
Yeah, let's
Chris.
Yes.
This is a big episode because season 2 premiere, and you were
Right.
like,
We have
you
to
were-
knock it out of the
you were
park.
tasked with the season 2 premiere. Have to knock it out of the park.
Right.
We will be the judges of whether it is knocked out of said park. But
Okay, all
what do you
right.
got for us today? What are we talking about?
So today we're going to be talking about probably one of the most famous conspiracy theories of all time. At least in all of time, as in like
I think
modern
so.
times. I think
Yeah.
it's all time too. It's such a big
Like in
event.
America. I don't know how it is in other countries, but
In the world, really. In the world.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah. So
Ooh.
today, should I just say what I'm talking about? Should I
Yeah.
do it? Yeah.
Just get right into
Today
it, Chris.
we are going to be talking about the moon landing hoax. Or is it a hoax?
Ooh.
Is it not
Is
a
it?
hoax? Is it real? Did it really happen?
Well, yeah, my mom, I think, was in high school when that happened, I think, and she saw it on TV.
It was
I don't know what my dad is doing.
1969 when it happened. So if she was in high school in 1969.
Yeah. She was like, I don't know, 16, 17, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But yes, she did see it. My dad, sorry, Dad, I don't know what you were doing, but you might have seen it.
Hey, well, maybe I'll change your mind or your parents' mind by the end of this thing. Probably
Yeah,
not.
good luck.
Probably not. Halfway through, I think they might go, wait a second. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
This makes perfect sense. All
That's
right.
our goal. We're just trying
That is our
to stir the pot for all our listeners. We're just trying to get you thinking,
Exactly.
get you
Exactly.
curious. All right. So tell us about the moon landing hoax, Chris.
All right. On July 20th, 1969, the United States landed on the moon, gracing televisions across the world with their one small step, solidifying themselves as the winners of the space race and proved to the world that extraterrestrial travel was possible. However, many claim that the moon landing was fake and was filmed on a television studio rather than a real space landing. I'm going to talk to you today about some possible theories and evidence people point to when they argue about the moon landing hoax.
Ooh. Before we even go on, Leah, does your sweatshirt or sweater or whatever say NASA on it?
Oh, yeah, it does. It has this cool, on the left sleeve, it has like this cool RGB kind of like RBG or something like
RGB?
red, green,
Yeah.
blue, whatever
Not
panel.
Ruth
Oh,
Bader
wow.
Ginsburg.
But if you haven't seen Influential Women Part 1, go
Yeah,
check it out.
yeah.
And then on the right side, yeah, we have on the sleeve 3 times National Aeronautics and Space Administration. And then I
Wow.
have like a little astronaut.
So
and
you're
the, like,
really themed for the episode. I'm
That's-
wearing, all right, so at this part it's a gray sweater, and on the other part it's also a gray sweater. I'm just wearing a gray sweater.
The color of the moon.
Exactly. This is I think they
Yeah.
wore sweaters on the moon. Maybe.
They did. I think they wore
Or did they
cashmere
wear
sweaters on the moon.
Gavin
Yeah.
will be a full moon. I'll be a new moon.
Exactly.
So does that make me a waxing crescent?
A waxing
Or a
gibbous.
waxing gibbous. Yeah.
Waxing gibbous. A gibbon.
Did you guys take astronomy classes at school, or do you just know moon?
Don't even mention it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did too.
I took an astronomy class in high school, and that was really, really fun. But then I took one in college, and I was like, Parkies don't do math. Keep that in mind.
Yeah,
that's
they
fair.
don't.
I also took the astronomy class.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway,
you
so-
did? Okay, that's a
Well,
conversation.
what did you guys take? Because I took solar system astronomy. Did you take stars, galaxies, and the universe, or solar system?
Yeah, that was
Yup.
So that explains why I had fun and you guys did not.
Oh, I have a whole backstory of why I withdrew that class, but that'll be
Yeah.
We'll talk
later.
about that
another
after the
story for another time.
We'll talk about that after the sources. So, the moon landing.
All right.
Yeah.
Was it a hoax?
Hoax
Anyway.
are real.
So before I get into the hoax and everything, I want to give some background to some listeners who don't know what's going on at the time. So it's important to understand what's happening in the world during the time of the moon landing. The United States and Soviet Russia were in a heated competition, essentially one-upping each other at every chance they could get. This was known as the space race, and it was a very nasty and competitive series of events that happened over the course of 20 years. When one country would achieve greatness in space, the other country answered with something better. The big goal, however, was landing on the moon. If you could do that, you essentially secured a victory and were given bragging rights with a big celestial middle finger to your enemy. The space race was also very... I knew Lee would like that one. Basically, that's what it was. It was just... The United States was like, hey...
Your rocket ships, man. We got him here. Anyways, yes, continue.
So the space race was also very quick, and each country tried to one-up each other as fast as they could. This is where we get some motives as to why the US would want to fake a moon landing. So these are some pretty interesting motives as to why you would do such a thing. And it makes sense. So I can get right into it if you want me to. One very popular theory in the motives is that the US faked the moon landing because this would ensure victory in the space race. However, actually going to the moon was extremely risky and expensive. If they went and people died, it would be a complete embarrassment to the country and to NASA itself. So they wanted to protect their reputation by saying, we did it, we went to the moon, no one got hurt, it was a success. It's basically a very safe way to win.
To cheat a victory.
To cheat a victory, right.
But I have a question.
Go for
How can you then kind of deny that the footsteps that are on the moon, because people, their footsteps are still there. How can you kind of say, oh yeah, they're there, but that didn't happen? Like,
yeah, but you can't go up there and check.
You can't go up there and check.
No, you can't go up there and check. But I think there's like probably satellite images from like Hubble and other spacecrafts that have those pictures. I've seen those pictures. I think like my best friend's dad had that picture in his like basement.
Yeah, so one of the theories, I didn't write this in just because if we wrote every theory, this thing would be miles long.
Off script?
Off script?
Off script. This is
script?
off script. Yeah.
Off script?
So a lot of people are like, well, why don't you point a telescope or the Hubble? Like the Hubble can take really detailed pictures of like galaxies and things from far away. Why can't they just go to the moon and see the flag or the footprints or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And NASA says it's just too fine. Like it's such a small detail. Like it's basically like finding footprints in the snow from millions of miles, or I don't know how far away the moon is, but very far away from the moon. So you just can't see. You can see the moon very detailed, but you just can't see. You would have to go right over the moon and like have a very detailed camera to even see footprints.
No, you're right. But like Hubble now, like what it is versus what it was back then is like nothing compared to the new missions and stuff that they have released,
Yeah. Are you saying why don't they just fly over the moon and take pictures of the footprints?
Kind of like the Mars robot or whatever. Why not do that for the moon to be like, this is the proof, this is the evidence. Yeah,
I don't think we've been rovers on but there's definitely stuff over there. To clarify, we are 238,900 miles from the moon.
We really should have known that, Chris.
How am I supposed to know that?
Because our professor in that class ingrained that in.
Okay, but when did you take that class? Freshman year?
Oh, that was like sophomore year. Yeah, that was 2 years ago. I'm not. I didn't remember that much from that class, except for the fact that space is really cold. That's what I
Yeah.
learned from that class.
True.
Oh, I don't even know where Sagittarius is or whatever the heck.
Oh, don't
Okay.
even. Okay.
Yeah, moving on. Let's go.
All right, all right.
Continue.
So another famous theory that NASA faked the moon landing is they did it for a money grab, and so they could continue to receive funding. So NASA reportedly raised around $30 million to land on the moon, and this money could be used to pay off a lot of people. So they did it so that they could receive some moolah, because apparently their funding was going down, I think.
I don't know if you're gonna get into this, but how long after America landed on the moon did Russia land on the moon?
Oh, I have no idea. It had, I mean,
That'd be
obviously it had to have been the
interesting.
70s.
Because I wonder
I don't
if it
know.
was like soon after, then maybe it was possible versus like, what if America faked it and then like week later Russia's like, oh, we figured it out, and then they head up,
Mhm.
and then oh, America was lying. Footprint's not here, flag's not here.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
Mm.
Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
something? I actually have a funny story about the Russians. It's a conspiracy theory. I didn't put it in here too. There's so many conspiracy theories about
Yeah,
the moon that I just
there's
didn't
so
put
many
in.
different facts and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's so I just put like the 5 big ones, but yeah, we'll get into it. One final theory as to a motive as to why NASA would want to do this is because NASA and the government used a fake moon landing in order to distract the American people and the world from the Vietnam War, which at the time was a very extremely unpopular war. And theorists often point to that after the moon landing and the Vietnam War ended, many crewed flights were abruptly canceled. So they're saying, like, after the Vietnam War ended and after this moon landing, in air quotes, happened, so many Apollo missions were canceled, so many space flights were canceled. There just wasn't a lot of people going out here. I was just referring to this before, Gavin, when you were like, why hasn't Russia said anything? Russia apparently would track our spaceships and stuff because they're like salty and crap. And they never said, yeah.
They're a
And
little
they never
sus.
said, so theorists say
Little sus.
Russia never said anything about, us going to the moon, right? And Russia never said, oh, we see them going to the moon, so that means we didn't go, right? And then another conspiracy theory said, in an effort to disprove that theory, and then sort of add another one, he said, well, Russia never had the ability to track our ships until the 70s, which coincidentally, right when they were able to track our ships, there were no spaceships getting launched because all these things were getting canceled. So it's like NASA was like trying to cover up the fact that they didn't go to the moon by not sending ships to space when Russia can track our ships, which is why Russia never said, oh, blah, 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 blah. Like I saw that I didn't see him go to the moon. Well, they couldn't see it back then, but they haven't seen anyone since, So NASA went and said, well, it's because we didn't have enough funding. So we had to cancel the flights because of funding.
I mean, yeah, the stuff like that back then was probably very expensive. Obviously, with like, technology and just the improvements in technology today, probably does cost a lot more than it did back then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As well.
100%.
So
yeah. And I mean $30 billion for the moon landing. Like back then, like $20 was a lot,
Wouldn't there be inflation with that?
Probably.
I don't
and
know
stuff
actually. I don't know. I
involved?
saw that
My dad would know. Dad, you want to answer the
I
question?
doubt
How much money did
maybe
you say it was?
$30 billion. So it was actually 29 point something billion dollars. But
So that would be worth $30 billion in 1969-ish is worth approximately 217,271,440,551.43 cents. So
Holy
30 billion
moly.
is like 217 billion in today's money. So it's
no
a lot of
wonder
money.
they didn't go back to the moon.
No wonder they were like, okay, we're good.
Yeah, no wonder they were like, we made it. We're not going back. Oh,
Tap,
did they make
tap out.
Exactly.
Did they make it though? Did they make
Let's
it?
find out. Continue.
Let's find out. So I can
Yes.
get into the theories now. Yeah. So let's get into why. So let's get. This is what I said. So now let's get into why everyone is on here listening in the first place. The theories and the evidence that point to the fact that we did not go to the moon. Oh, I love this part. The first theory is something called the Van Allen belts. And the Van Allen belts are 2 huge radiation belts surrounding Earth's atmosphere. These belts are constantly pounded by high radiation winds from the sun that would easily expose astronauts to high doses of radiation, essentially frying them in their seats. How could the astronauts even get to the moon without frying?
Doesn't make sense. Not true. What
Doesn't
if we
make
just
sense.
became like InfoWars? Like if we're just like they'd be
How did they
dead.
do it?
Like what if we
How
just
did they
started
do it?
yelling? Couldn't be true.
How did they get there?
They couldn't.
Not
couldn't.
possible.
They couldn't. And
Untrue,
it's not like
possible.
it's not like these belts aren't real. Like the belts are real. They
Yeah.
found them out in the 50s. Like they knew about these belts.
So already, moon landing for sure didn't happen.
Did not happen. Right.
Sorry if that was too loud, Leah.
The second theory. When the astronauts were planting the flag into the ground, the flag in the video is shown to be flapping in the wind. How can there be flapping of the flags if there's no atmosphere? How did the flag move?
There's no wind.
There's no wind. There's no atmosphere. The wind in the studio, maybe.
No, here's my question.
I mean, if you take, hold on, really fast. Sorry to interrupt you, but if you take, I'm gonna get like really sciencey on y'all, but like if you take the fact that when astronauts go into space, when there's zero gravity, they float around, right?
Yeah.
So did it look like on TV that it was actually flapping in the wind, or did it actually look like there was like no gravity, like zero gravity surrounding the flag, which there is zero gravity. So that's what kind of gave it that effect.
I can answer that for Leah. Yes, the flag did flap as if it was flapping in the wind. And I'll get into why it flapped later, but yes, it flapped in the wind.
Here's my question. If you're on a sound stage, so if you're on the moon, no wind. If you're on a sound stage, you're inside a building. So also again, no wind.
Yeah, but also like the flag would like wasn't the flag kind of like up,
unless
not
they had
like
a fan.
sideways?
You know what? That's actually it's very easily solved. They could have just had a fan. So I take it back.
Yeah. Also, they did say I get into this later, but I'll just say it now. They had the flag was basically like the pole, and then at the very top of the pole there was a horizontal beam that would keep the flag open.
Okay.
And so what you saw in the video was at the bottom right-hand corner of the flag, it was flapping, as if it was flapping in the wind.
Okay. It is smart to have something to hold that out so that like it didn't just kind of fall down and then it's just a crumpled flag and you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Third theory. Many conspiracy theorists point out that there is no stars in the sky in any of the photos. We know that when it's dark, we see stars at night. We know stars can be seen on the moon because there's no atmosphere or light to block out any of the stars. So why can't we see any? Is it because they were in a studio?
Stars aren't real. It's all fake.
There was no stars in any of the photos.
Okay, now referring back to my photography side, there's a very famous photo of like the moon's like landscape, and then over the horizon is like the Earth. Look at the photo and tell me if you see stars there.
Well, now I gotta look.
Also, forget that stars are million trillion light years away. Like they're not just like, even though they look really big and really bright, obviously there are like giants, there are dwarfs. There's a whole lot of like science that goes in behind it, and just like what you're giving me a look.
Leah, I hate to burst your bubble, but there's no stars in those photos.
Yeah,
that's my point, is that you're not going to be able to see the stars in those photos.
Yeah,
because they're so far away.
Exactly. And the cameras also aren't like, they were probably okay, but like, there's probably some stuff with aperture and other
you're taking like to put into reference, you're putting a DSLR next to a freaking
the Hubble telescope.
Nicer than the Hubble, because they're not like nice, but yeah, sure, we'll say the Hubble. You're not gonna get the same outcome.
Plus, you're trying to focus on the light on the Earth, which is definitely much brighter than stars.
I mean, of course, but take that picture and then down the contrast and the brightness, and not the brightness, just put the contrast down, and then you'll be able to see. Oh, there's nothing. You can't see.
I know I couldn't get this theory by with a bunch of parkies. I knew I couldn't get this.
You're talking to a parkie that was a CMP major that moved to a TBR.
That was a photography major that knows how cameras work.
Yeah.
And I'm just here. But listen, there's no. All right, so here's what we got. There's no gravity. There's
no gravity.
No stars. There's I forget what the second one was. What was the second one?
The van something belts.
Oh yeah, the belts. No way they could have gotten through that. All right.
No,
what's next?
You can't. You'll be burnt to a crisp. Okay, next one. Many also point out that the photos that they took of like rocks and different things, that there are different shadows on the rocks and on the astronauts and the landing crafts from different angles. Many shadows point to different directions. If there's only one light source, aka the sun, shouldn't there be only one shadow? Many point out the fact that this is proof of studio lights that shine down to give more light to the set of the fake moon landing. Because if you look at the pictures of the rocks of the moon, or at the flag, or of the astronauts, or anything, the shadows go in different directions. Like there's two different sets of lights.
Yeah. Were there any lights on the ship?
Yeah. What about like surrounding lights from
Oh,
like
I
the
don't know.
ship?
Like I wonder if they had floodlights on the ship.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't see any in the photos that they took.
True, it would have been the photos. That's all right. So
I did look
there's
at the video, however, like Chris said, with the
Yeah.
pole in the top of the flag. That
Yeah.
was actually there was actually a pole in the top of the flag.
Yeah, no, I told you that.
No, yeah, I'm just saying you were right.
Another thing that people point out, and this is, one of the ones that I go into too. One photo of a moon rock shows the letter C on it. This is strange because many times in studios and movie sets, they label their props so the stage handlers can remember where to place them for each shot. One rock appears to be labeled the letter C, and it almost appears as if there was a prop handler who accidentally turned the rock the wrong direction. Checkmate.
You can debunk. Don't even check me. Nah, shush. First of all, sit down.
rocks don't have random symbols and markings. They're all perfectly
No.
smooth. They don't have
No.
blemishes. What?
Actually, if you look at the photo, it actually does say C on it. Like,
all right, well now
Like
I
a
know.
distinct black Sharpie C.
no, it's more
Oh,
like
is it?
like a pencil.
Oh, I thought that it was
No, you can't. Stop. Sit down.
Hey, go look it up.
Oh, that's quite interesting. It does look
No, wait.
I am making Leah's brain spin right now.
No, you're just
Alright,
like pissing me off because you're trying to like contradict everything that I'm saying,
No,
and
this
it's
is
so
100% fact. All right, look at
infuriating.
this. Ready? Let's open this.
What? Oh my goodness. C.
Look at
Oh
that.
shoot.
C.
But like, okay, find me a different photo, please.
Look at this one. You can't see it on that one. I don't know what
Yeah.
that one is. This one, you see it.
That's one photo.
I can explain why there's two different photos, and I won't get into it at the end of this podcast. But
Because someone like photoshopped it, like someone could Photoshop a C on it.
they didn't Photoshop a C on it. I'll get into it. They didn't actually Photoshop it, but I'll get into it. All right. So every single one of these theories that I said, a lot of them don't hold any water, and NASA has actually
100%
come
are
out.
true.
100%.
They're 1000%. 100. All these theories.
We can stop the
100%
podcast now.
true.
We can
You're
stop
right.
the podcast now. The moon landing
This has
is a
been-
fake.
The moon landing is a hoax. This has been This Strange World.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that.
I'm Leah, and I'm not buying any of this, so let's continue.
All right. All right. So NASA has actually come out and has given explanations for every single one of these things that I've said. And they're actually pretty interesting, the explanations that they have said. I never understood why there's a C on the rock, or why there's no stars in the photo, or why the flag is flapping. And these are very common things that I've said. And a lot like some other things that people say is like, the backdrops are the same in every photo. Why is that? If they're supposed to be miles away, how come there's the same backdrop? And it's an interesting reason as to why that happens too. All right, so let's get into them. So the first theory, the Van Allen belts, the reasoning is NASA launched the expedition during the time that the belt's radiation was at its lowest intensity. The belts change based on the sun's activity. So they knew about this, and they have been tracking the belt's intensity. They launched the mission when it's the lowest intensity. The astronauts were not in actually any danger at all. If they were not protected, the only radiation they would have been exposed to was, I don't know what a GY is. I should have looked this up before the podcast, but they're exposed to 0.18 GY. I don't know what GY is. I should definitely know what this is, which is actually very safe. They were also
GY
fitted. It's like a radiation measurement.
Gray. It's GY stands for gray, which is a unit of ionizing radiation dose in the International System of Units. Oh, it's a unit of measuring.
It's a unit of radiation. Yes.
Yeah.
So the astronauts were also fitted with extra protection. So the real radiation that they felt. So what they should have been exposed to with no protection, remember this number, 0.18, right? The real radiation that they actually did feel was closer to 0.0018 gray, which is actually similar to getting one shot of an X-ray. And that's
Well,
what they
that's a lot
felt
less.
the entire
Yeah.
I've
time.
had so many X-rays, I don't even know how they feel anymore.
Yeah, well, then you got hit by 0.001. So you're just like the
You've
astronaut.
basically gone out of the atmosphere and have you've basically gone to the moon,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, I've basically had, I forget how many X-rays now, but probably have had more than like 5 times.
What they should have been getting.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've had my teeth X-rayed, so.
Oh,
like,
if you're taking in teeth into
Oh my.
then I've had like
Then
a
it's just
lot.
gone up.
A
So,
lot. Yeah.
Anyway,
So that's that explanation where the belts they could have gone. All right. Number 2, the flag. Why did the flag flap in the breeze when there was no atmosphere? The reasoning
good question.
is the flag actually isn't flapping. What is happening is the flag is staying in place.
Really?
What?
Okay.
What?
Okay.
What is this? Oh my god, it was Leah, right? Like, what?
So what's happening is the flag is staying in place, and on the top of the flag is held up by a horizontal rod that makes it so the flag always stays open. However, the astronaut, when trying to put it in the dirt, couldn't get the flag in, so he had to twist the rod back and forth, which caused a ripple effect like a wave on the flag.
And then it just kept rippling.
So that's why the flag is flapping.
And I saw that in the video that I
he was
just
twisting?
watched as well. Yeah, that he was having like trouble getting it
Yeah.
in. So the flag was therefore flapping.
Yes.
Not due to wind and fans. So therefore debunked. Next.
So the third one, why can't you see any stars in the photos? You guys basically said this already. The reason that you don't see any stars in the photos is because the reflection of the sun's light off the moon's surface outshines the dim light of the stars. This is the same phenomena when you try and see the stars in the middle of a city. The light pollution blocks out the stars. The camera just can't distinguish the difference between moon bright and star bright. So that's why you can't see any stars in any of the photos.
That definitely makes a lot of sense, because also you've got the light from the sun on the moon in part of the photo, taking up almost half the frame, and then you also need to be able to see the light on the Earth, which is very far away.
Yeah.
So how are you able to see, like, how was you able to have the lens open enough to see like the distant stars? Also, that wasn't their point. Their point wasn't to see all the stars. If they wanted to take a picture showing off the stars, I'm sure they could have. But they were just trying to show off the Earth and the view. It's a very cool picture. But I didn't realize that I never realized there wasn't any stars in it until you.
I didn't either until I
Wow.
started researching this thing.
I assumed there would have been, but I would not have based a whole conspiracy theory off of that. But
I mean, maybe if it was like a new moon, then maybe you could.
If it was a new moon, well, you know, every side of the moon gets the same amount of light, right? Because
True.
the
Yeah.
moon rotates as well.
You know what? Let me just try it. Let me just have my fun. But let's just, instead of ratting on Leah now, let's go to the next. What's your third? What's your fourth or fifth?
All right. So this one's actually very interesting. So many point out the photos that there are different shadows on the rocks. Why is there different shadows when there's only one light source? The reason behind this is because uneven surfaces like the moon and the rocks give different shadows even when there's only a single light source, like the sun.
What? Oh my god.
You can also try this experiment out at home. You know, you can find an uneven surface and you shine a light at it. You know, there's going to be different shadows going in different directions. Another thing that's also really cool is the moon itself, the suits of the astronauts, the landing craft, anything on the moon was acting as another light source because it's reflecting the sun's rays off of it too. So when you're on the moon and you see different shadows, one shadow could have come from the white suits of the astronauts. That's why there's a shadow there, because the sunlight is hitting the suit and then bouncing off at the thing at a different angle. So there's going to be different shadows pointing different directions because it's an uneven surface and because everything is reflecting light.
Interesting.
There you go.
Very interesting.
That's why there's different shadows.
Yeah, there's light. It's light. There's light everywhere. It is interesting about how, like, yes, the one light source is technically the sun, but
But the moon is a light source too. You know,
Yeah, 'cause it's
and we can tell that from here. Like on a full moon, the night it's bright out when it's a full moon.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it gets so bright. Like my blinds will be like, they're blackout blinds, and the moonlight will just come through the blinds. I'll be like, oh, I can't sleep.
It is so bright. So like, of course you're going to get a reflection from the moon. I mean, come on, it's like a white surface basically.
Yeah. It's like having a ring light, but a whole ring light, but a whole circle light.
But a whole ball of light. Like the
But a
sun,
light
but just
bulb.
rockier. Right.
But a light bulb.
All right, confirmed. Earth, the moon is actually a light bulb.
Exactly.
You wanna know a fun fact?
What's that?
That there is, I don't know if it's like active, even though it's like topped off or dormant necessarily, but there's a volcano. There are a couple, I think, on the moon.
Oh yeah, because
Oh.
yeah,
You knew
Yeah.
that, but
I didn't know that. I didn't know that, but it makes sense.
Oh, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Well, no, but yeah, my mom got me this like astronomy book, picture book that I was like obsessed with, and that was one of my favorite photos. Was just the volcano. It's a massive volcano as well.
Oh, volcanoes are interesting.
Oh.
So, the moon rock that showed the letter C on it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a real photo. Yes, it was released by NASA, I think. I'm pretty sure. No, it was not doctored. I will explain why there's a C on the photo. So the original photo, the one Gavin that you showed, that didn't have the C, that's the original photo. So there wasn't a C on the rock, but there was a C on the picture. It wasn't intentional. I will get into what it was right
Did
now.
someone draw it on a printed out picture or like film of it, and then that got
No.
scanned? No.
Or is
No.
it? Yeah. Is it? Oh, okay.
No. So there wasn't actually a C on the photo. The original shot did not have any markings. Only in the copy of the photo was there a C. This is either due to a copy error or a small piece. This is what NASA thinks, that a small piece of hair fell onto the print as it was being copied.
I
So
could
that
see that.
C,
Yeah.
that C is a strand of hair from somebody.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah.
Like
That
cool, but like oh.
That makes
Yeah,
so much
I
more
mean, it's a little
sense.
gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that. The film and the cameras would have been fogged by the radiation, right?
Mhm.
Right? Wouldn't have been
Yeah.
fogged up. So the film was actually kept in metal containers that stopped radiation from fogging the film. So they took that in consideration.
That's
Mm.
good. Scientists taking science things into consideration. I would hope. I would hope so.
So one of the really cool things that I found, I didn't put this in the in my thing,
Your script?
was in my script.
Your off
Was
script?
if you look at the moon photos, the background is the same. I know it's funny because the same. It's like the moon is the moon, so everything looks the same. No, they were actually identical backgrounds, and there's a scientific reason why this happens. So the backgrounds were not identical, just similar. Would appear as nearby hills in some photos are actually mountains many miles away. On Earth, objects that are further away will appear fainter and less detailed. On the moon, there is no atmosphere or haze to obscure the faraway objects. Thus, they appear clearer and nearer. Furthermore, there are many few objects such as trees to help judge distance. On the moon, there's no trees, so you can't judge distance. Your eyes can't tell the difference between what's far away and what's close when there's nothing to compare it to. So on the moon, you're basically it looks the same. There's just mountains far away, but there's no haze to stop it. And your brain, you grew up on Earth your entire life, so you're gonna know like, oh well, if things are far away, they're hazier. They look far away because things are closer. On the moon, there's none of that. There's no atmosphere. There's no haze. So when you're on the moon, everything looks closer and clearer, even though it could be miles and miles away. So that's why everything looks similar, even though it's not.
Oh, that is really interesting. That like I wouldn't have thought
That's
about the
cool.
lack of haze or the fact that a hill close to you could look the same as a mountain way far away, and that you could probably just see like all the way the horizon, like just as far as the eye can see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
That's cool. Yeah.
I think I disproved this already, but they were talking about the Russians when they were like, well, we didn't see a moon craft, out in this up in the sky. We didn't see that. Well, because they didn't have the technology to track it. And when they did finally get the technology to track our things, we just weren't launching anybody because we didn't have the funds. We didn't have, I think they said NASA's funding went down like 40% after the moon landing. So they couldn't go back up to the moon. It's so expensive. It's so dangerous. So of course, when they have the ability to track things, we're not going to go to the moon. So when conspiracy theorists see that, they're like, well, just as how coincidental that when the Russians were able to get their technology to track us, we didn't send anyone to the moon. Well, yeah, it is kind of a coincidence because we didn't have any funding. So that's
Exactly.
why.
I mean, when you spend $30 billion in the late 60s or $217 billion today, it's you run out of funds.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's not that we are trying to hide anything. A lot of people are like, well, when people brought moon rocks back, and now it's a federal crime to have a moon rock. It's like, how convenient is that? You can't have they just want to protect the freaking moon rocks. Like, they don't want some loser to have a moon rock that's like, no, that should be contained by like scientists and studied, and of course it's going to be a federal crime to have a moon rock, and they brought back a ton of them. So they're trying to keep them secure, and it's not like they're trying to hide the fact that they didn't bring any moon rocks back. No, they did bring moon rocks back. There's evidence, there's photos, if they're in cases, it's like, yes, they're there.
I mean, personally, if I was going to go up to the moon, I would break that law, and I would definitely bring back a moon rock.
No, I mean, I think the
100%.
astronauts were able to keep it. I think the astronauts were able to keep it. I think they're talking about us. Like, we can't have a moon rock.
People.
Yeah.
Now Leah wants a moon rock.
I've always wanted a moon rock, or I've always wanted a piece of an asteroid. I've seen and I've held a piece of like an asteroid, which is really cool. But I want one.
Guys, I guess we have to go to the moon. So we'll get
NASA,
guys,
like pull through.
We're gonna raise $200 billion. So donate to our GoFundMe, give to our Patreon, all that stuff. We're trying to raise $200 billion.
We're just gonna go. We're gonna jump as high as we can to try to see if we can touch.
We're gonna get moon shoes. Remember moon shoes?
Exactly.
That's gonna give me another ankle sprain.
I think didn't they say it would take like 30 days to drive to the moon if you could drive? Isn't that like
something like that? 28 to 30. Yeah.
Hey, it's a lot. The long distance.
We got all the time.
I do it. I would do it though. That's the thing. I would.
Road trip to the moon.
Road trip to the moon.
Stop. I'm driver.
The only problem is you can't stop for any food on the way.
Because this is.
But that's how you just load the whole car with like astronaut food.
A month of food. True.
Non-perishables.
Like those the ice cream, the astronaut ice
powder.
Cream. Yeah.
The powder.
All that stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
So that was the conspiracy stuff for the moon. Leah.
Yeah.
I'll ask you this question, and I'll ask Gavin this question. Leah, did we go to the moon?
Yes.
Okay. You believe that it's moon. Gavin, did we go to the moon?
There's always a lot of evidence on both sides whenever we look at conspiracy theories like this, but as much as I would like to be InfoWars, I do think we went to the moon.
So I will answer the question. Yes, we did actually go to the moon. There is a ton of evidence that we were there. Leah, I didn't want to bring this up because it would completely derail my entire podcast, but we did send a camera to the moon. They photographed it. You can see footprints. You can see the flag. You can see the landing site. You can see actually the rover where they parked it. You can see everything that happened on the moon. We did go to the moon. There is evidence of it. The thing about this conspiracy that was interesting about when I was researching it was when you did Paul is Dead and you did your conspiracy about that, a lot of the evidence was like compelling. You're like, oh, wait a minute, that's interesting. And there wasn't really any evidence to back it up. There wasn't any refutable evidence from the other side. This is interesting because every single thing that I said, there is a scientific explanation as to why that happened. So it's like it's interesting because all the evidence that conspiracy theorists are bringing up, it's all real. Like, yes, the flag flapped. Yes, there's no stars in the photo, but there's scientific reasons as to why these are happening, and they just don't want to look at it because they're grasping at straws.
Yeah.
It's okay. Let the people think what they want to think. If you think it didn't happen, then you think it didn't happen. But if you think it did, then it did. You're allowed to have your own opinion and see things as you want. And this is just, this is us reporting what, has come out, and take it as you want or don't.
We're not astronomers, unless. Did any of you guys switch majors? Did you switch majors?
We're not.
No, but I've always wanted to work at NASA. Like, that was my, that was
like what you wanted to be when you grew up, like that. Yeah.
When I grew up, I was like, I want to do something for them. I don't care what it is. I'll clean their toilets if I have to, but I would really just love to go. No, I'm being like.
No,
I'm just laughing. I'm laughing because I'm imagining you, Leah, cleaning the toilets, hearing like the final countdown, and then just like sneaking
100%.
onto the ship.
100% would.
Oh yeah.
I'd do anything to work at NASA. No, I'll do it for free. NASA, if you need someone to clean the bathroom or something, like literally hook me up. I'll send you my number and email, and I'll send you my resume, and let's go.
There you go. It's exactly 100%. What I need.
Just don't be like that person that got an internship at NASA and then started swearing on Twitter.
Oh
and then
my god! Do you remember?
And then internship coordinator.
He said it. Yeah, and then he tried giving her, getting her to be reinstated for that internship, and she blew it so fast. And my mom, it was like, Leah, this is why you don't do A, B, C, D, on and on. I was like, yeah, I
True.
hear you. I get
That's
that.
straight facts.
Can you imagine that? Oh,
That
oh
would
my
be
gosh.
insane. Well, I think this was, at the beginning of this episode, Chris, to wrap
Yes.
it up, we said that we would be the judge of if this was a good first season premiere or second season premiere, I guess, technically. If this knocked it out of the park, I would say pretty good. I liked it.
Out of
I had
the
a lot of
world.
fun. Out of the world.
Into
Out of the
the moon.
world.
Into the
Possibly
moon.
shot-
the moon.
Shoot for the moon. I shot
Yeah.
for the moon on this
Shoot for the
episode.
moon, and if you
No, this
miss,
was-
you'll land probably in a soundstage because you can't get to the moon. The moon's not real. It's all fake.
No, it's not real. They have evidence that didn't happen.
Yes.
It's all a hoax.
There was statistics. They did a survey about Americans, and they said 5% of Americans believe the moon landing never happened. Which, if you look at the population of America, 5%. It's a lot of people. That's like
It's not no one.
That's a
It's
couple
good-
million people.
Yeah, it's definitely
don't-
it's a good amount of people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people that don't believe that the moon landing happened. And
Yeah, fair.
yeah, this was pretty difficult to research because I wanted to give the listeners like some good evidence about like why it didn't happen. Like, look at all this evidence that it never happened. It was so hard because everything was either like one sentence for like evidence, and then it was like right after that it was like, and this is why that's not true. It's like, okay, like I want to find some reason, like, oh yes, it did not happen, and obviously it didn't happen,
I
so
mean-
there's not going to be evidence that it did happen. But it was difficult.
The points that you said that contradicted the like false theories were all from NASA.
Yeah.
You're taking it straight from the source. But like I said, take it, believe it if you do, believe if you don't.
Yeah,
You do
let
you.
us know. Let us know what you think. What your favorite thing
Yeah,
was.
let us know.
Yeah.
Leah, what was your favorite conspiracy theory about the moon landing?
My favorite was probably the flag.
Yeah, I figured you were gonna say
Just
the flag.
because the flag or like the light, just because, it's you can debunk that
Yeah.
pretty fast.
Yeah.
So that's probably. I think I had the most fun. I had the most comments on that.
On the flag.
So
Yeah.
On
yeah,
the flag.
I went off.
Yes. on the flag.
Gavin, what about you?
I would have to say the stars one of
I
that you
thought
can
you were
see
gonna say
stars in the
that.
picture. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like
Mhm.
that one because that one, like, there aren't stars in the picture. Like, it's kind of like, ooh, there aren't stars in the picture. Yeah, that's how a camera works. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't do, and especially
photo
like,
that.
I'm sure it's not. They didn't have 4K. Like, they don't have what they have now.
Dolby Vision 4K.
Exactly. All those
Red
people-
camera.
Yeah.
Even what we have now, we can't take photos of the stars. Even
Yeah.
what we have now.
Stars and the Earth and the Moon, like, and all, like, yeah, stars are far away.
Yeah.
But
They are.
that's what you get for living in this strange world. For this strange world, I'm Gavin.
I'm Leah.
And I'm Chris. Thanks for listening.
Stay strange.
Bye.
Bye. This podcast was produced by Gavin Berger, Leah Ettinger, and Chris Ash. Our theme song is by DJ Kai Song, and our logo is designed by Michael Zilvetti.
Be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and check out more episodes of This Strange World available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at This Strange World Podcast and on Twitter at This Strange Pod. If you have any other ideas for future episodes, let us know. You can DM us on our social medias or email hello@thisstrangeworldpodcast.com.
And now it's time for the sources, because we're not astronomers, and we also didn't go to the moon or to a soundstage to make this. I'm surprised we didn't mention the fact that wasn't it theorized that Stanley Kubrick did it on a soundstage? We didn't even touch upon that.
We didn't even touch upon that. I thought you were going to touch upon that, Gavin, but we didn't.
We didn't. I forgot. So anyway, Chris, what we did touch upon, where did you get those sources?
So I got one of my sources was earthsky.com. Did we really land on the moon? Yes, we really did. I got another one, science.howstuffworks.com. Why do some people believe the moon landings were a hoax? And the moon landing conspiracy theories Wikipedia page.
Wonderful. Incredible. Yeah, no. Now I'm just realizing there's so many more things we didn't talk about. But
Yeah, we didn't even touch upon the Stanley Kubrick thing.
I know.
I was gonna talk about that, but the reason I didn't talk about it was because it was so long, so much stuff was going on. I didn't think I could fit it. Obviously, I could have fit it, but it was very confusing about 2001: A Space Odyssey, and did he do it on a soundstage, and he didn't do it. It's just a lot of
Maybe
stuff.
we'll have to either shove that in another episode or put it out as a bonus because I totally blanked on that, totally forgot about it. But anyhow,
All right.
this was a good one. A great season premiere. Excited to come back next week.
Woo!
Yay! Let's go. Season
Cool.
2, episode 2.
Season 2. Bye.
Bye.